Hey everybody, and welcome back to Going Down the Road with Randy. Dang, 6 episodes, and I'm still just getting started. Stories. I got stories. Sit down. Bring a cold beverage. Put your feet up. I hope y'all are enjoying listening to this weird stuff from way back when, during another lifetime, when even though we thought the world was fucked up, we were always hopeful that we could make it better. We need more of that now. Anyway, tonight we're going back to Thailand, and we're going to the northern border with Laos and Burma. And we're going to trek. In fact, it is required to trek here because in much of the area there are simply no roads. We're going to trek in the infamous Golden Triangle. That is the moniker for the intersection of Thailand, Laos, and Burma. But I need to divert from official podcast business tonight for just a quick moment to address what has become a bit of an elephant in the room that some people have asked me about. Characteristic common to elephants in the room is that they're awkward to talk about and difficult to state clearly what you mean, but I'm going to try to do that. Namely, that my traveling companion throughout these stories is Greta, a woman not currently my wife, and in fact, we were never married. That being said, we obviously did have a relationship, and I like to think that it was a pretty good one and ended relatively well and on amicable terms. I really don't have contact with Greta anymore, but I could connect with her if I tried, and vice versa. There are no restraining orders in place, and that is absolutely meant as a lame-ass joke, okay? I try to downplay her as much as possible in the podcast because I do not want to hurt my wife's feelings. And if I do, I apologize. It's unintentional, but sometimes necessary to tell the story. Everyone needs to understand that these travels and stories, they all happened 30 years ago. And obviously my life is quite different now. Tessa's my only true love, and she's the mother of my children, and she knows that. And if she doesn't, then I've quite obviously failed somewhere, and I can fix that, I hope. But I cannot change the past, and this podcast, though it describes those travels, it's not any yearning for that old relationship. But Tess still doesn't want to hear about remembrances of my times with other women, and I understand that, as the reverse is also true. So I try to keep it focused on what we were doing and stay away from the personal stuff. I just want to let everyone, especially Tess, be assured of that. I had considered using a generic traveling companion moniker, but it seems cumbersome and impersonal to me, so I'm going to stick with Greta because she is a real person too, and what happened. So what can I say other than we just have to accept that and move on. Also, I'm friends with lots of these other folks on social media, and strangely enough, in the ensuing 30 years, many of their situations have also changed, and I may have tagged you all just because I thought y'all might be interested, or I might have missed tagging you, in which case, rest assured, I probably didn't mean to. I'm not here to cause problems. So if I am, I'm sorry. Please stop listening, or better yet, keep listening and just tell me what inconsiderate, dumbass thing that I did last. I probably didn't know what I was doing. Just an old man telling stories over here. Get off my fucking lawn, okay? Good Lord, that got all messed up. But I hope y'all catch my drift, as we used to say, and I mean no intentional harm to anyone, anywhere, or anytime, except, of course, when I do. But I'll make sure that you have no doubts when and if that happens. Anyway, now that is out of the way, I could start by skimming quickly over to explain how I got to Thailand. We had landed in Malaysia from Indonesia, right? That was episode 1. We hung out in Kuala Lumpur and Malacca, went down to Singapore, and then from Singapore back up for a few days in Penang. We entered Thailand at Hat Yai on December 11th, 1990, I guess, where we stamped our 2-month visa for Thailand. We went directly to Krabi on the southwest coast, and the most gorgeous beach in the whole wide world, Railay Beach. There will be stories later, but a group of us met up, and then we spent Christmas and New Year's on the other side of the Thai peninsula on Koh Tao Island in the Gulf of Thailand. That's East Coast Thailand. After the holidays, we took the overnight train to Bangkok and had our first encounter with the backpacker ghetto, Koh San Road. The trains in Thailand are great. They're not particularly fast, but due to a quirk of Thai geography, many train routes are 10 to 14 hours long. Thus, trains go back and forth pretty much twice a day, and if you go on the overnight train, you save the price of a room. They will come and prepare your seat into a bed, and you can even order breakfast. We've been running around Bangkok for a week trying to finalize plans to go to Vietnam, which had just like a week ago, opened up to independent travel. That's huge. Prior to the opening, travelers to Vietnam had to go to a tour group with a guide, and that was definitely not our thing. So now travelers were going to be allowed to travel independently. You just had to apply for a travel permit. So we're taking advantage of the opportunity, and so is everyone else we meet in Bangkok. But everyone's plans keep changing, and flights have not caught up with demand. So after a week or so, we've had enough of Bangkok, and we want to go north to Chiang Mai and trek with the hill tribes in the Golden Triangle. We get an overnight train north to Chiang Mai. Strangely, the train we took from the southern beaches and islands to Bangkok was not air-conditioned. But this one from Bangkok to Chiang Mai in the mountainous north of the country is air-conditioned. We freeze our asses off. We're not at all used to air conditioning by this point. We're cold even with 3 blankets. The train arrives in Chiang Mai at 7:30 a.m., and it's colder outside our air-conditioned train car than it is inside. It's freezing up here. We get a taxi to Chiang Mai Inn for 20 baht and a lovely room for 100 baht with bath and phone and hot showers around the corner. Excellent. We settle in to sleep for a while and then explore the city. We get some lunch and shop and stumble onto some dancing in the corner of the old city walls, which apparently happens only one day every year, and it's supposed to protect the city from attack. Chiang Mai is an ancient walled and moated city, which was once a kingdom in its own right. It was founded in 1296. The people here look very different than in the South. I met a nice American guy from Ohio who provides the information on the dancers. Later, we explore the night market. Huge is the only word to describe it. It would take a week to cover this market properly. Who should we run into but Brian Day, a Canadian guy we first met in Flores and who was on the hellish bus trip to Bali, described in episode 2. He just found out that he won $50 in a photo magazine photo contest. We have a beer to celebrate his good fortune, and then he comes to our room and turns us on to some doobies. No horn. He's going on a trek tomorrow to the hill tribes. Many people just go for quick day trips to the hill tribes, but that's not really our style. We're more interested in an immersive experience wherever we go. The next day is relaxed. We sleep in, have breakfast, try to see some things in Chiang Mai, since we're sort of stuck here at least until tomorrow. We run errands and then go to the Wat Chang Man, home of the Crystal Buddha. It was constructed during the founding of the city in the 13th century. Wat, by the way, is the Thai name for a Buddhist temple, and in Thailand they're everywhere, and they're gorgeous examples of the distinctive Thai architecture. The next day, we check out the Tribal Research Institute at Chiang Mai University. Very interesting place with lots of information on hill tribes. The hill tribes of Thailand are the Karen, the Lisu, the Akha, the Hmong or Miao, the Mien or Yao, the Lawa, and the Lihu. They've been forced here over the centuries. They come from China, Laos, Burma, to this hilly region of northern Thailand, western Laos, and eastern Burma that quite literally no one else wanted, and they set up shop growing and selling opium poppies. Business was good, too, until reformers in the government in the 60s and 70s, right when business was booming with the war in Southeast Asia, increasing demand for heroin, they started trying to shut the hill tribes down. They taught them to grow strawberries for the market just fine, but they didn't teach them how to kick their own opium addiction. So the people kept growing it. They had to. They literally had to. All the hill tribes of Thailand originally practiced animism, a belief in the spirit world. They take great care not to offend spirits and practice spirit offerings festivals, similar to Taoism or Confucianism. Over the years, as missionaries made their way through Thailand, many were converted to Christianity, and through integration into Thai society, many were converted to Buddhism, which is, of course, the main religion of Thailand. So nowadays, it's common to find hill tribes that still maintain their spirit beliefs, but have also adopted Christianity or Buddhism in parallel. Might as well cover all the bases, right? Especially when you're talking the afterlife. Later, we go down to the night market to make a call, and we find that everyone else, Phil, Karen, Halit, and Mike, has decided to go on Vietnam Airlines on the 16th. So it looks like we're going to Vietnam by ourselves. And as we're shopping in the market, we run into the Laotian president's wife and her extensive entourage. We get back rather late and read. Saturday, January 11th. We can't actually leave today because, number one, we're not packed. And number two, we don't have a motorcycle. And number three, we aren't sure about this whole trekking thing at all. We don't want to go if the people are being exploited. We go down the street looking for summit trekking, and we find it. Then we stop at Folkways Trekking, and we really like their 4-day trip to the north a lot. We nearly book it, but then we hold off. We go back and shower and meet Dave from Ohio after dinner, and we three go to the Riverside Bar, where we find a very happening live music scene. The bands keep getting better and better, playing old Allman Brothers and Pink Floyd, everything an old hippie boy at heart needs. The beer and the Mekong are flowing freely. No ganja to be had, though. The bar is closing, and we meet this Thai guy who puts us into a tuk-tuk and says he'd meet us there. This is not something we would normally allow to happen, but we're soon at a very Thai nightclub. Our friend never shows, but we drink and dance with the locals. Somehow we get home and into deep discussions on religion, politics, etc., the specifics of which are not recorded in my journal, nor are they in my current recollections. The next day I sleep in until 2 with a massive hangover. Greta gets up at noon when Dave comes by and goes out for the day with him. I can't handle it. I'm sick. They go. I sleep and read. Finally venture out at 3 or so to tell Folkways we've decided to go with them, and then eat. I do these chores and stagger back to bed to read until 5:45 when I have to go to the 6 o'clock meeting for trekking tomorrow. We just get issued backpacks and are told what to bring. I meet Greta on the way back. She went to a funeral and saw temples and would have had a good day if she didn't feel like vomiting the whole time. We go to dinner, then retire and read and pack. Dave comes by and we trade addresses. Then Brian stops by with horror stories from his trek. Fractured skulls, says my journal. So, once again, that's what my journal says. It literally says, fractured skulls! Exclamation point. Like, I guess just writing those words would trigger some kind of overwhelming memory in me 30 fucking years later. I am following a quite unreliable narrator, and so are you. Brian treats us to a doobie. We pack up after he leaves, and when we're done, we go get some fried rice and go to bed. We have an early day tomorrow to go trekking with the hill tribes in the Golden Triangle. So just so you know, we did smoke opium on this trek. I won't honk a horn every time we smoke, but you can just assume we smoked every night we were trekking. I generally follow a when in Rome philosophy when traveling. So if they're drinking snake blood, I'm drinking snake blood. If they're eating dog, then I guess I'm eating dog. And if they're smoking opium, then I'm damn sure smoking opium too. I would not necessarily describe each opium session, but I will go into great detail on the ritual involved. So first of all, there is pure opium, which is very gooey, sort of like a thick Vaseline or wheel-bearing grease. But the regular smokers usually mix their opium 50-50 with paracetamol, what we know as Tylenol. This is supposed to ensure that they do not accidentally overdose. After the pure opium is mixed with the crushed pills, it is more like a soft hashish texture. For those not familiar with the texture of soft hashish, this would be somewhat like mixing thick Vaseline or wheel-bearing grease 50-50 with crushed Tylenol, if you know what I mean. With either one, you take a steel rod and put a gob of the opium on it. This is then shaped over a flame until the consistency is Goldilocks, generally a bit thicker than what it was, but without actually burning it. Then you take the pipe, a foot-long piece of bamboo with a glass bottle on the end with a small hole for the rod in it. It is long so that the helper does not have to crowd you while he prepares your pipe. The steel rod is inserted into the hole in the glass bottle, and the lump of opium is rolled down the rod to the glass bottle, and then the rod is withdrawn, leaving a little sort of opium volcano on the glass bottle. All of this is done by the helper. Opium smoking is not done alone, which is a good thing in my case because I definitely would have been at a loss. Smoking opium is always done lying down, preferably on the left side, as nausea and vomiting are not uncommon. The helper then applies flame to the opium volcano and it vaporizes, and he works the opium so that it vaporizes around the hole as you smoke, and he keeps the hole clear. The smoker breathes in and out the whole time. You do not hold it in your lungs as you might a toke of marijuana. It is very relaxing. It's not what I would call a party drug, as the participants are quickly reduced to lying on the floor, basically unable to speak. I found that it made my nose itch. If you do have to stand to urinate, for example, you run the risk of increased nausea and vomiting. I felt like I wasn't really sleeping, but I also wasn't really awake. I had no problems with nausea or vomiting, and for the most part it was quite pleasant and dreamlike. It's probably a good thing that I resisted offers to buy my very own brick of opium, and that I was done after these 4 days. Opium would be a very hard thing to be addicted to, and these people have long not had a choice in the matter. Addiction is a terrible thing no matter what it is, and it's something that I've struggled with. I've been lucky. The real shame is that reality is the thing we all try so hard to escape from. Maybe if reality were better, society wouldn't have so many damn addiction problems. I'm sorry. I digress from the traveling narrative. I'll try to stay in my lane. Monday, January 13th. Up at 6:30, shit, shower, shave, out the door. We grab some croissants and get to Folkways a little after 7:30. It's okay, though, because we end up not leaving until 9 anyway. Our guides are John and Eck. We learn that John's wife has just left him, and so he's ready to smoke a lot of opium. Look out. We go in a plush minibus to Phong, the town of Phong, where we trade buses, and then go to the town of Thaton, where we have lunch. We miss the boat up the river, so we stay in the car and go to our first village, Karen village, where we begin the actual trekking. The women run up the hill with us selling shell bracelets, and they tie them on to us, and it only costs 10 baht, so we buy some. Hiking through hot fields. So many pigs. Only an hour walk brings us to the Lahu village, where we will spend the night. We sort of move into the chief's house. We wander around the village with little or no reaction from the locals. We come back and have tea and talk while dinner is being prepared. We try to entice the kids with hacky sack, but there's not much interest. We drink some local rice whiskey, which is brutal stuff. Not like the smooth Mekong we've been drinking. I look forward to smoking lots of opium this evening. Oh, and yeah, we did smoke lots of opium. I did 2 pipes of pure opium and 6 pipes of mixed. So mellow. All I could do was lie there. I didn't really sleep, but I wasn't really awake either. I'm in a dream state. I remember the old women smoking after we were done, and the chief is drunk as a skunk, singing and playing the flute all night long, until even his wife yells at him to shut up. But he is only part of the symphony, which includes cows, pigs, firecrackers, chickens, dogs, giant old muzzle-loading gun blasts, you name it. Apparently, these folks celebrate a different New Year's celebration, and it is now. Yay, lucky us. It lasted all night, and I don't remember sleeping, but I don't feel too bad when I wake up. Just a little nauseous, but otherwise okay. I did wake up at 3 a.m. to piss. About 6.5 hours after the last pipe, I felt very sick. But when I got back to the bed, once I'd laid down again, everything was okay. The Lahu village is a barnyard. These people have lots of animals, but no fences. Lots of people, but no toilets. They seem to have plenty of food and opium, though. The next morning, after coffee, I asked the guide, where do I go for a shit? And he says to just find a bush somewhere. So I wander around a bit until I find a nice secluded bush, most suited for my modest sensibilities. Okay, so I stop at the first goddamn available bush, alright? I mean, I gotta go, man. I drop into a good old-fashioned mountain squat position, calling balls and strikes behind home plate. And it's not long before my constitutional is achieved. At least partially. My reverie is almost immediately disturbed by dogs who swoop in to eat the shit quite literally as it comes out of my asshole. I mean, I'm pretty sure it doesn't hit the fucking ground, and I felt whiskers on my butt cheeks. The perfect form of my good old-fashioned mountain squat that I've spent many years perfecting in many backcountry adventures has transformed into a kind of shitting duck walk across the village, trying not to get any on my own shoes and ankles while swatting swarming dogs from my ass, which no doubt proved quite the spectacle to the village, who probably still talk about it to this day when the elders reminisce. Or who knows? Maybe it happens with every group of foreigners who stay with them, and they just yawn and turn away. But I'm pretty sure some people were laughing. The dog, for its part, is probably fortunate that my shit at this time was relatively solid, as that was not always the case. Apparently, the pigs and the dogs have a competition for the human shit, and the chickens, they get the pigs and the dogs' shit. Nothing is wasted here. Even the dogs are raised for the meat. Nothing is wasted. We soon learn to take care of business with a partner who can shoo the animals away until the dirty deed is done. There are some spectacular fights when we finish and let them have it. It makes me wonder if I really want to eat a shit-eating pig or dog. Of course, the sad truth is that we most certainly have already been eating them. We leave for the Lisu village. We're trekking with a German couple, Ottmeyer and Edeltraud, and Ottmeyer is bumming heavily. It's hot, and he wants to barf. I think his experience with the opium was not quite as pleasant last night as mine was. His nausea prompts some other thoughts on opium. It has terrible effects on your gastrointestinal system. You're prone to puking when you smoke it, and then it makes you constipated, which might not be such a bad thing given the general state of shitting up here in the hill tribes. We stop for lunch. We play a hacky sack, not with, but for the villagers. Some Westerners ride by on their motorcycles and stare at us. Walking again, mostly uphill through the tall grass that is used to make roofs and walls of all these houses. All it does is make us itch, or me itch, anyway. Finally, we look down over the Lisu village. As usual, you can see the pigs and the cows from here. One thing I've noticed is that as the houses are constructed on stilts driven in the hillside, so that they don't have to excavate for a level floor. We're all looking forward to a bath in the promised waterfall. This village isn't visited much now, but used to be visited at least once a day. We go in and already can sense a bit more of a Western influence. One guy comes up to us and asks us, "Where are you going?" I give the kids colored pens and their parents cigarettes. Then we run down and take a shower in the freezing waterfall and smoke a joint. We come back and an old woman approaches us with a white glove stuffed over one hand. She pulls the glove off to reveal a wound. It looks bad, but I can't look too closely. It's dirty, too. Edeltraud becomes determined to do something about it, so I look at the wound a little closer. It is so dirty. I thought it was a burn, but it looks like a knife wound, maybe a couple of weeks old. I get some iodine, but Edeltraud is already cleaning the wound with alcohol, I think. The old woman doesn't flinch as she squirts it over the wound, and it's deep too, very deep, and the hand is swollen and infected. The cut is right between the thumb and forefinger. What I thought looked like dirt or dry blood now looks like, is that opium? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've been packing opium in there. Whatever it is, it's not coming off. Edeltraud gets some sort of black goo from a tube, which is very sticky. She puts it on some gauze and presses it to the wound, then she wraps the whole thing up. I look at the woman and the boy is leading her, and I try very seriously to tell them that this is only temporary and they must see a doctor very soon. It needs to be stitched up and the infection taken care of with cleansing and antibiotics. But I doubt she'll go, and she'll probably get gangrene. I hope we did okay. We sat around inside waiting for dinner. The old man asked if we want some opium. The German couple doesn't, but I do. We have a huge meal, too much to eat, and I feel guilty because we have 2 kids staring at us as we eat. After dinner, we sit around and they play some strange banjo thing and ask us if we want a massage. The kids try to put a mouse in our bed after we smoke the opium. Fell asleep wondering about the difference in the tribes we've seen. The Lahu didn't try to sell us anything except opium. The Lisu, I feel, are mad at us because we don't buy anything. The Lisu children come to stare at us and smile and nod, and we smile and nod, and they smile and nod back at us as if mocking us. Some very strange vibes at play here. Wednesday, January 15th, we're going to go see what the Aka people look like. We have heard that they still wear their traditional tribal dress. I don't know. I have a feeling that we are definitely not very welcome here, and they only want our money because they are so desperately poor. I feel so useless because there's really nothing we can do to help them except buy things that we don't want or need. We might as well just give them money. They can't grow opium, and the government wants them to produce crafts, but at the trekking agencies in Chiang Mai, they tell you not to bring too much money on your trek. There should be some kind of tribal-friendly trekking agency in Chiang Mai. So we trek up from the Lisu village. The weather's cloudy and cool, perfect for walking. The hills become more forested, not like the denuded hills of yesterday. John points out the fields where 1 or 2 years ago they were growing opium. Now nothing. We see the helicopters circling. We walk for 3 hours to the Aka village. Only the difference in the attire gives the clue that these are different tribes. The women are wearing their distinctive hats with all silver ornaments with a little wall sort of looking thing in the back. The entrance to the village is guarded by a spirit gate to prohibit entry to evil spirits. The children all smile and yell hello to us. We enter the village and go to the chief's house. Almost instantly, we attract a large crowd of women pressing us to buy necklaces, bracelets, bags, hats, all sorts of stuff. We have some tea, and Greta goes out to bargain with them. I can't deal. I have so many things to write down. My biggest regret is that we didn't bring the tape recorder to capture the songs and flute of the first night and the banjo of last night. The people are so fascinating to us, but really they're only trying to survive in a changing world that is eroding beneath them under modern morals and pressures. No longer can they drift their lives away in the hills in an opium-induced haze. We take a little day hike from here into Burma. It is only the next hill over on the path, and when they tell us we're in Burma, I sense no difference, and I doubt the people here do either. We hang out and play some hacky, but no one really wanted to join with us, so once again we put on a demonstration. It seems that the Lisu and the Aka aren't into hack, but the Lahu are willing and eager to play. People here, they just want to watch us. We have some good kicks for about an hour, and then we go down to a secluded spot for a good cold shower. Now we're just hanging out, waiting for them to get around to cooking the dinner. They usually do it before the sun goes down. I sit watching this old Aka woman chopping up some palm to boil. There's also some kind of root, maybe a taro, in there. In any case, dinner should be interesting, as our faithful guide Jan has been smoking opium since we got here at about 1 p.m. this afternoon. And he is in the spirit world right now. This culture is so far removed from our own, it's difficult to believe. Once you get past the please buy my jewelry stage, these people seem like they might be quite friendly. We'll see tonight. Okay, so yeah, these guys are true addicts, as confirmed later when we find that they are under extreme pressure to change, and opium addiction and use remains very high. We have not one but two pipes going tonight, and we're smoking from the one manned by the oldest dude I've ever seen. I mean, he looks like Confucius's self. He's a pro, but I think he was giving us small bowls. I saw him load one for himself, and it was twice the size of ours. I smoked 12 pipes, but I don't feel as affected as the first night. Then again, I never tried to stand up either. The next morning we wake up and it's still dark out. Slam a boiled egg, 3 pieces of toast. Pack up and leave just after dawn, before any shitting needs to be done if we can help it. I like this Aka village better than all the others, perhaps because we stayed here longer. We have an easy walk down past a large grove of lychee trees to the road that we crossed the day before yesterday. We get a songtao down that road to another village. Here we get a boat up the river to Tathon, and what I fervently hope with all my heart will be the coldest boat ride I ever have the pleasure to take. We thaw out over lunch in Tathon and take a songtao to Phong City, where I catch the 1 o'clock bus from Phong to Chiang Mai. We arrive in Chiang Mai and I feel sick. I got the shits again. Sometimes when traveling, you just have to enjoy the times that you don't have the shits. Sorry to be so graphic, but it tends to be a topic of daily conversation amongst travelers, believe it or not. I'm exhausted. It's about 5 p.m. I stagger to a room at the Eagle Guest House and crawl into bed. I stay there all night. No dinner, just shitting water constantly. The next day, we have to move rooms, and the effort nearly kills me. I lay in bed all day, reading and resting. Gradually start feeling better. Might have been the Imodium I took. I feel good enough to go to the Al Shazaz restaurant, Indian restaurant. I only have dal and rice with a little chicken tandoori and chapatis, but it's pretty good. And on Saturday, January 18th, we get up early to go over to Prasan and Porn Tip's house. They're going to show us around the village where Prasan works for his World Vision project. There are a couple that I've never met, but they were co-workers of my sister-in-law. Such are connections made while traveling. Hey, hi, we don't know you from Adam or Eve or anything, but I know a person you know, and they said to call you, so here I am calling. It's often a doorway to another world. We spend most of the day riding around in the back of the pickup and then stop at a very interesting market and some Watts too. I really wish I had written down what those Watts were, but we had seen so many by that time, I guess I was slacking off a bit. Not a bad day, but somehow disappointed. We had them drop us off at Tapta Gate, and we arranged a motorcycle for tomorrow. We went back to Eagle Guest House and watched Green Card on video. So Sunday, January 19th, we have a shower and breakfast and went to get the motorcycle packed. We're on a motorcycle adventure to Mahong Song and the Burmese border again. We packed and left stuff at the hotel, and we're out of Chiang Mai not long after noon. North on Route 107, we keep looking for the turnoff to Pai. I thought we missed it. Doubled back and nope, we didn't miss it. So back up the road again, cruise around the 2 main streets, and finally check out the Shan Guest House on the outskirts of town. We get a great bungalow with a huge bed and 2 big quilts for 60 baht, and the guy was very friendly and spoke good English. We played some hack and had a beer, and then went out to dinner at a place called Thai Yai. where we had great garlic bread. And the dude was into alternative living Thai style. Whatever that means in my journal. Back at the homestead, we drank Mekong and sang House of the Rising Sun in Thai, and then snuggled under the big blankets against the cold. We were awakened by a PA system blaring out songs, punctuated by announcements of some kind at 7:30 a.m. I get up and open the window and look out into the whiteness. Dense fog. The noise is coming from towards town. Back to bed, feeling a bit hungover. Apparently this happens every Monday from 7:30 to 8. Thank God, it's almost 8. Sucks that we stayed here on Monday. Up again at 10 to have breakfast, change money, pack, and go. Armed with a map from the proprietor, we attempt to find the fabled waterfall, and we do, after only a few false turns. A kindly local gentleman there offered to sell us some opium, but we declined and bought some ganja instead. Finally. I mean, this is Thailand, for Christ's sake. Where's the ganja been all this time? The folks were nice, but we kept moving. We checked the Pai Mountain Lodge bungalows, gorgeous things with hot showers and fireplaces for 150 baht a night, and then we returned to the road and motored to Sepang village, where we have lunch and meet another friendly guy who drew us another map to the local cave. But then he found out we were going to Mae Hong Son, and he told us we better boogie to there, so we did. Beautiful countryside perched on the Burmese border. We pull into Mae Hong Son at about 5 or so and putt around looking for a good guest house. Finally settling on an expensive 150 baht, but with hot showers in the rooms, garden guest house. I have a very luxurious 20-minute hot shower. Feel like I may be getting sick. Tuesday, January 21st. So there we were, bumping our way up to the Burmese border, when I break my promise and I spill the bike trying to negotiate an especially treacherous erosion channel in the so-called roadway. I also break the clutch lever. No big problem, but we have to nurse the bike back to Mae Hong Son for repairs, and we don't get to see the Burmese border this time. The side trip adds like 70 kilometers to the trip and proves to be a workout for our butts. After repairs, we speed to the Cave Lod near Sopong and had about 45 minutes walking around there before we go on to Pai. I think this is the same cave. It might not be the exact same one, but it's in the same area of the cave that the Thai youth soccer team got rescued from a couple years ago. Anyway, we get back to Pai at about 5:30 and we're frozen. Hot tea revives us and we get our old bungalow back at Chan's. Smoke a doobie, have a killer hack session followed by a killer baked potato dinner. Catch up on a lot of letters and get some sleep in preparation for tomorrow's run back into Chiang Mai. And so the next morning we're up early to cruise into Chiang Mai. Brrr, cold. We arrive no trouble by noon and go down to the train station to get tickets to Phitsanulok and Sukhothai tomorrow. The bike has a slow leak in the rear tire, a broken spoke, and it's probably about ready to fall apart. We turn it in and don't even pay for the extra 2 hours that we've had it. Oh, we're bad. We have lunch and then claim our room at the Eagle Guest House. Have to shower, get ready to go to Prasan Important Tips to learn how to cook Thai food. I'm really psyched because the food is so good. I've got recipes for tom yum soup, pad thai, and Thai coconut curry. And you may download them if you like. They are at the end of the transcript of this podcast, which you can find on buzzsprout.com. Thursday, January 23rd. After breakfast, we went shopping. We bought a Saw-U for our friend John, one of those weird little two-stringed instruments on a coconut played with a bow. We didn't have time to get the Saw-U packed up and mailed before we had to catch the train to Phitsanulok at 3:30. So we sit on the train with our big package and munch on shitty fried rice for an outrageous 50 baht. We've learned now to travel third class on the day trains and eat out of the windows. We arrive at Phitsanulok at 11, get a hotel, and crash out. The first order of business the next morning is to the post office to mail the package to John and grab a quick Thai sort of breakfast of rice and fried chicken, then hop on the bus to Sukhothai. An hour later, we are dropped off there and make our way to the O2 guest house, where we while away the rest of the day doing laundry and reading. We have a decent, cheap meal at the market and then retire. We called Tab Tim at Ploy Travel, and she gives us the bad news. We've lost our reservation to Vietnam, and Dave is in Bangkok freaking out. We'll have to call tomorrow to find out what's up. I guess we can always go on Vietnam Airlines, and which is also known as Scare Vietnam. But even that is up in the air at this point. Saturday, January 25th. Today we're going to check out the ruins of Sukhothai, which was Thailand's first capital, founded in 1257. But it lasted only until 1379, when it was moved to Ayutthaya. Sukhothai means dawn of happiness in Thai. We have a really good day, in spite of the fact that neither of us feels all that great. I think I've got a bit of a head cold from all that motorcycle riding and freezing train rides. But we did get to see most of the important temples that we wanted to see. Giant Buddhas and grand ruins. I've not been to Rome, so I can't really compare, but I can mentally challenge. It would have been nice to rent a bike and go to the hills to see more of those ruins. This must have been one hell of a kingdom and civilization here to have done all this. Really, it's fantastic and definitely worthwhile. And, by the way, there are pictures on the Going Down the Road with Randy Facebook page, so be sure to check those out. Lots of those. We had some barbecue chicken for lunch and then went back to the hotel and hung out reading. Had dinner at some shitty place, then called Tab Tim. She said we're good to go on the 8th. I think Thai Airways added a flight because of Chinese New Year's. I'm not sure. Excellent, though. She also said that the Vietnamese embassy is closed from February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for the Tet holiday, so we have to come down and apply for our visas by the 28th, 2 days from now. What a nightmare. So now, instead of going up to the northeast and hanging out for a few more days, we have to go down to nasty old Bangkok again. We sorted out and decide to catch a government bus at 7:50 tomorrow morning, which means we're up by dawn, packing and checking out. Walk down to the bus, get a ticket to Bangkok, no problem. It's a hellish journey, though. It's hot, it's crowded, it takes forever. We finally get off at the Northern Bus Terminal in Bangkok, which is a huge place, only marginally closer to town than the airport. We managed to get a tuk-tuk into town for 80 baht. We tried the Mary V guest house, but it's full. All rooms in Bangkok are full. But there is a note. AJ is here. Dave is here. As usual, you meet everyone eventually back on Koh San Road. We find a room at Apple's, shower, go and meet Dave and AJ and have an Indian feast and drink some Mekong. We all decide to meet for the Super Bowl tomorrow, which is being shown live here at 6 a.m. So on Monday, January 27th, we get up again in the dark at 5:15 a.m. We go to the one place to see the game, but they are assholes, so we go to another place. And they've got a big, nice TV, and they're friendly. So we have some tea and some fruit. The game starts at 6, and we start drinking beers. You cannot say that you've been drinking all day unless you start in the morning. Waking up at noon and drinking just does not count as drinking all day. Buffalo is not doing very well, and the score is like 17-3 or something at the half. So we go blow a couple of bones at halftime to put a whole new perspective on the game and the day. Buffalo ends up making it respectable, but they still lose 37-24 to Washington. We're feeling very zoned out, but we have to go to Tab Tim, our friendly travel agent. AJ managed to switch his name for Phil, so he's on our flight to Vietnam with Dave. So we're all set for the 8th, our last available day in Thailand. This may be the next story, but I'm not sure how to tackle it quite yet. Anyway, we go to American Express to check mail, move to the Mary V guest house and settle in, watch movies. Tonight is Highlander 2. Tuesday, January 28th, we sleep in, shower, supposed to pick up our tickets at Tab Tim's, but when we actually see Tab Tim's, she says they're all out of ticket stock, so they can't issue the tickets, and we'll have to wait until tomorrow night. Imagine someone from 2020 encountering this, and they'd be like, what the fuck is ticket stock? For those folks, ticket stock is the blank tickets that airline tickets were printed on. Yes, printed by a printer. No, we didn't have e-tickets on our cell phones. Prior to printing, tickets had to be painstakingly etched in stone by dinosaurs. I guess we trust her. We spend the day shopping on Khao San Road, and then we plan to go see the Thai boxing tonight. However, Dave and I aren't really that interested in seeing Thai boxing, and Carrie from Indonesia shows up from Kanchanaburi, so we all decide to go out to Pad Pong later on and see what the fuss is all about. Pad Pong is the infamous red light district of Bangkok. So we have dinner at the Royal Indian, again, and spend lots of time drinking Mekong, and then we go. We all share a doobie for the tuk-tuk ride over there, and then ride over for 40 baht. My first impression is a market. All you can see is stalls selling the usual stuff. Then I notice the clubs and the touts, and through the doorways, the girls. All types of people are here, from uncles and aunts to grandmothers. It's amazing. Dave wants to go do the switcheroo on the bum fake Rolex he bought with another fake one at the stalls, which would presumably work. There's a McDonald's at the far end of the street. Oh yeah, they're here too. Not too proud to be skimming some profits from the crowds here for the smut. Nothing brings a crowd like smut. Just like in King's Cross in Sydney and Times Square in New York, 7-Eleven, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Pizza Hut, they're all here. We go, get some munchies, and then head on into the melee. Caution must be exercised as rip-offs abound, so we have to choose a place carefully. We are a group of 7, 3 women and 4 men, so we have some strength in numbers. The girls want to see a man on stage. Everyone wants us to come in and offers menus of what the girls will do. We have heard that Lipstick and Pussy Galore are reputable. We go in Lipstick, but nothing is happening. Maybe a little too damn reputable. I mean, we are in a red light district. So we leave and go to Pussy Galore. The tout promises 50 baht beers. Oh yeah, it's happening here. Girls dancing topless, Every so often, girls leave the stage and one remains and takes off her panties and does a trick with her pussy. We see Pussy smoking cigarettes, Pussy chopsticks, where she picks up 3 cigarettes with chopsticks, Pussy razor blades, and others. Pussy ping pong ball was impressive. They pick it up with chopsticks and then share it with another girl. It's weird, but quite talented in their own way. It's not really erotic at all. We all order up beers, but when we try to pay, they say they're 100 baht each. That's another thing we've been warned about. Do not run up a tab. Pay for each beer when you get them and before you've consumed them. Okay, great. So there it is. We find our tout and complain. Door guy says beers are 150 baht each. It's getting worse. We decide to make a break for it. Greta goes for the door, but the door guy is blocking it with his hand on the knob. I go join Greta, not quite sure what's up. I try to get out, but his hand's on the doorknob. Well, now I know what's up, and I'm pissed. I slap his hand off the knob, wrench the door open, and blast out. Everyone follows me. I'm shaking with anger. There are dudes on the steps, and one tries to stop me, but I push him away. He says he's the police, and I just laugh at him. Back in the street, I still want to see a show, but it's 3 a.m. and everyone else is tapped out. But the adrenaline has got me amped. We get a tuk-tuk for 50 baht back to Koh San Road and end up crashing. Next day, we sleep until afternoon, and I go shopping with AJ and Greta. I buy a great magnetic chess set. Dave and Krish and Carrie and Trish were up until dawn, so they're pretty much worthless for the day. After donuts and shopping, I come back and take a nap. Get up late afternoon and prepare for an evening of Indian food and videos. Already the word Mekong has been mentioned, so it may be ugly, because you just never know when Mekong is involved. 6 of us, Dave, Trish, AJ, Kenny, and Greta, go to the Royal India and drink a bottle of Mekong. AJ, Greta, and I then say goodbye to the others. They're going to Koh Samui, which has recently had several cases of dengue fever, so we wish them well. We watch Sleeping with the Enemy at the bar. The next day, Greta wants me to get up for a day of sightseeing, but I don't feel well. So instead of sightseeing, we order tailor-made suits. I'm going to get a double-breasted suit of dark blue English silk wool blend with an extra pair of trousers and a shirt and a tie for 3,000 baht or 120 bucks. Greta is getting 2 suits made for 4,000 baht. After this, we go back to hang out, but I have to return very soon for my first fitting already. I think they'll look really excellent. Come back and beat AJ in a game of chess, making the score something like 6-4 in my favor. Finally, we get some street food, wander around searching for a good video. We find Julia Roberts, once again, watch Pretty Woman while eating pizza and drinking beer. Which leads us to Friday, January 31st, and that's the day that we went to Canterbury, and that tale was told in podcast number 3 about Hellfire Pass. So that is it for tonight. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you the next time we see you.